Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the online seminar of Chulalongkorn School of Integrated Innovation. It's very nice to have you all here today. My name is Professor Sumali. I'm a faculty member on Smart City in our SI program at the School of Integrated Innovation here. So the topic of our online seminar today is on the Smart City implementation from professional views and opportunity in Thailand. So as we all know that Smart City has been the hot topic in the world of technology and urban planning. And the idea that we can use technology to help solve a lot of urban issues, traffic congestion, inequality, environmental issues, has been so interesting and exciting. But we also know that technology alone is not the only success formula for implementing smart city practice. So today we're going to discuss how we can actually drive this smart city implementation. And together with me, we have two also outstanding speakers with very in-depth practical experience in smart city planning and implementation in Thailand. The first one is Mr. Suradet Kunchai, and he's currently the CEO of Shortwave Public Company Limited, and Associate Dean of the COLA at the Khon Kaen University, and also the co-founder of the Khon Kaen City Development (KKTT), which has been the role model for the smart city development in Thailand. And he will focus his talk on the smart city developer from the KKTT model. And our second speaker is Dr. Salatchai Pongprasert. He's an executive director, service leader of the building information modeling of the team consulting, engineering and management public company limited. And Dr. Salatchai will give us his thought and knowledge on the city data modeling. So we're going to do this in turn. So first, I asked Mr. Suradet to give us some view and experience, and also what's going on in the way that KKTT has been involved in the city development. May I pass over to Mr. Suradet?
Thank you. Okay. Smart city is not smart city is not easy to move or implement in Thailand. May I see the slide share
already?
Okay. So as Dr. Chai mentioned, the smart city is very difficult to implement in Thailand. But we have some idea from concept that we try to create what like the environment that we can slide. Okay. Come on, Jordan. Sorry. Okay. This is about technology. As Dr. Chai mentioned, the smart city is not so easy to implement it in Thailand. Today, I would like to explain to everybody about what we plan to do in subject. First of all, I will not mainly talk about the technology. I would like to explain about the structure of the how to say, government control in Thailand. This is the central government, local government relation in Thailand. That is this one, this document is showing, as you see on the left, it's showing the structure. We have the central government, we call the federal government in Thailand, and we also have the local government in rural area, province, like in Thailand. In the local government, like Esteban, municipality, in others, and in Thailand. Actually, when you are working, it will be like and it's very, I can say, English is messy or sophisticated structure. The structure of Thailand is not so easy. So approval process, budgetary process. This is a feature of the what we show to the over the feature of the structure. It's not very simple. It's not very simple. Actually, when you are working, when you work together in Thailand, it's very difficult like this. Even in the one province, you have to structure that they have together, just like when you see, if you see in the middle, I don't know that if I can show or not, right? TAO is like the OBOJO, Provincial Authority Organization and Control, and we still have the governor, Puwa Rachakan Janwat, again, that is acting nearly similar duty in the province. And under that province, it still have municipality and or SAO or TAO again. So this structure in Thailand is I can say that this is this structure is only in Thailand. Actually, just like in German or in Japan, they have only two. That means they have local government and the central government. What smart city can do for Thailand? The purpose of Khon is to reduce the inequality and try to reduce the poverty of Thai people. If you see this slide, you can see that 50% of the Thai have only 6,400 baht per month. So this is the Thai problem. This one we try to fix this problem for, I think it's about 60 years. So Khon Kaen think that, okay, if we try to move the city like this, it will, our Thai, the problem will not eliminate in Thailand. So we said that, okay, we better to find our own budgetary system. We asked the government to construct of the 23 kilometer of the LRT. We try to ask the government to approve to let us build a 23 kilometer of LRT, and then we do GOD. I think maybe everyone know about GOD, transit-oriented development, because we have less time. I will go faster. You can note down and you can find what is GOD later. Just like when you build a public transport, if you build only public transport and you try to find the money profit from the ticket, or we call fare box, it will not able to do. But in other countries, they build the GOD, that means they do the land development as the public transport, just like in Tokyo. Tokyo, they develop the land and they build the public transport to make everything possible. So this one, it will, and in Khon Kaen, we try to use the structure to help the city. There we call first structure is the smart city that we use in Khon Kaen. And smart city have 6 elements. And the most important is this one. We try to use 3 bottom line. When you say talking about the sustainable development, you'll be always talking about the economics on the red one and the social responsibility on the blue one, and the green one is the environment. So this one we need to balance those three, so we can make it as a sustainable development. You'll see later what we can try to do. This is not the city that we want to build. The city that in this one is a picture from Bangkok, traffic congestion, flooded, and there's a lot of garage. So this one, most of the project in our big city in Thailand is a problem fixing project. It is not a preventing problem project. So we think that Khon Kaen is a midden city. So we need to prepare how to prevent the problem, not make it happen like in Bangkok. Next slide, please. So we in Thailand mostly we call we stuck in the middle income trap, but in Khon Kaen we think that Thailand is stuck in the thinking trap. So Khon Kaen try to build something like we are the adapter in the middle, because if you know the structure that I explained to you, all of you guys on the previous slide, the structure in Thailand is very difficult to implement the project in Thailand. So we try to set up the company called Khon Kaen City Development to be acting like the adapter in the middle of those problems. Okay. So when we this guy in Khon Kaen is a local guy, local people in Khon Kaen, that they have the business in Khon Kaen, about 20 people in Khon Kaen. We combine together and we think that we need to do something for our city. So we combine, we put our money together and we set up the company called Khon Kaen City Development, or KKTT. So we try to help our city to be able to make what I has explained to you, the city budgetary, the own budgetary of the city in Khon Kaen, and we get approved from the government, the central government already. Slide. กด2 ทีมันดีเลยมากเลยเมื่อกี้นะขึ้นสไลด์รูปผมกดปั๊บเลยนะเนี่ยมันยังไม่มา Just like the development in Thailand, we always say that, just like Einstein said, only instantly people doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. Just like in Thailand now, we expect different result from the same system. So our people think that it is we have to find some other development model. KKTT development model was expand to about 22 cities in Thailand, because those 22 cities have the same problem, have the common ground. So and then most of them want to go for same common goal. So those 22 cities in Thailand, they set up the company like in Khon Kaen. Start from the province name and then end of the continue with the city development, just like Phuket City Development, Rayong City Development, Bangkok City Development. So this one is this one will make Thailand have some other tools for helping to develop our city in Thailand. So local government is very important of the nation development. This one is like Professor Yasit Kunonsin. is a dean of the COLA, said that there is positive relation between local government and advancement of the economic development. So this local government is we need to make it how to say make them educate and really strong that they understand how to make the city better for people. มันไม่ไปตามที่เราที่กลัวมันวิ่งเลย
เดี๋ยวผมกดให้ไหมฮะเดี๋ยวอาจารย์ให้คิวผมกดให้ดีกว่าไปแล้วครับไปแล้วครับ
อันนี้อาจารย์กด5 ทีเลยครับ This is the LRT North South Line in Khon Kaen. So we get approval already from the government, and we are prepared to build it now. Next, please. And in Khon Kaen, the government is already studied that in Khon Kaen have about 5 lines of the LRT in our city, and we will next, please. This one a little bit have to be need to explain a little bit. On the left side, above left, normally they will have the building of the urban sprawl. So that means when the city has a lot of people, they try to go outside and then build the city bigger to make it expand again. So but in Khon Kaen, we try to we do the compact city. We try to make the city compact by using the public transport. We call compact city in the wording. And then after that, we try to how to make the city compact. You have to reduce the private car, the private car. So you have to make the public transport efficiency. So if you make the city to be the public compact city, next please. So Khon Kaen use this idea. Khon Kaen use this idea for city development. As I told you in the beginning, the fare box is not enough for the investment. So the most important we have to do the TOD on the government land and then TOD from the private land. And the most important is if you see number 4, they have betterment tax. Betterment tax is the tax that they're using in they have sample that they are using in Australia. That this Australia the tax can help to support the public transport, and this one is very important to make the project possible without relying on the government budget. Next, please. Okay. Next, please. This is only some idea that what we try to build in Khon Kaen. Yeah, they have next place. They have the TOD, they have park and ride, and they have the okay. This one we have sample on the right hand side from the Portland State University. Portland is the city that they have, like in Bangkok, they have expressway, they have a lot of car, and even before in 1970, they have the postcard in Portland that when you cross a road in Portland, beware of your life. So that means a lot of car, a lot of car in Portland. But the city think that if we develop by the road, it unable to develop the city anymore. So Portland have the 20 years plan to develop the city. Now Portland completely changed to be a smart city. Just like Portland, 62 of the Portland inhabitants, 62% of them, no private car. They use only public transport. They have LRT, they have bus, they have bicycle, they have walkable footpath. So this is a Portland idea, and then they are successful on this one. On the left-hand side of yours, this book is writing about the city in the south of France. It's called Strasbourg. This one is saying the mayor want to bring the LRT to the city. They have a lot of people against on their project. But after the LRT coming to the project, to the city is alive we come back again. We call renewal city. Next please. In Portland, I was saw by myself because we went to meeting in Portland many times, and we been to meeting in Strasbourg many times also. This is the project that in Content that we try to make it happen in Content. LRT is one of the part of the smart city of Content. Next please. So they have a lot of government project and local project. This one we come back to the structure again. On the left hand side is a normal structure to build what we call the public transport in Thailand. The normal structure is maybe if you use about 11 to 12 years to approve. Just like if you remember the blue line. The blue line at that time, the King Ramanai is the one who went to open ceremony. And if you remember the purpose line open between the blue and purpose line is take about 12 years. If your student is on the grade 1, they will graduate on grade 12 onม. 6 ถ้าลูกอยู่ป .1 ก็จบม .6 พอดีนะครับ so that means this one is too long of the structure of the development. So we found the idea on the green one on the right hand side. We are using the structure like in Bangkok. So if you see on the right hand side, they have only 4 to 6 years to get the approval to build. So this one is the structure that one can use and copy from Bangkok. So but the most important, we need to have the municipality SPV, special purpose vehicle. So that means we need the company like in Bangkok. In Bangkok, they have a company called Thailand Thanakom. So Khon need to have the municipality company limited also. So this one we need to ask from the Ministry of Interior. Next please. And Khon is successful from the approval from the Prime Minister at that timeเป็นCTO, it means consortium. At that time, consortium is approved that Khon can build the train, the public transport by ourselves. Next please. And okay, next please. The real participation from the people of the city of Khon Kaen. So we try to educate people in Khon Kaen by changing. We have some buses in Khon Kaen University. Mostly the RAMS is very important for the public transport. Reliability, availability, maintainability, and then safety. That we try to shift the city to the smart bus. Next please. This is the structure of the Khon Kaen model that from the bottom, from the purpose. So then we need leadership. Leadership is not mean only one people. It is combined between the leader from the private side, the leader from NGO, the leader from people. And then next one, the next level, we have very good collaboration with the government. So that means local government. And then we support by on the right side is a sustainable. So that means 3 bottom line. And on the right hand side is a smart city. On the pillar, the most important pillar on this one is the left one. The left one is we call dialogue. The dialogue, what is the city need to be dialogue. The Khon Kaen city have the dialogue, so that means we have a lot of we do the dialogue more than 14 years to bring all the people in Khon Kaen city, and then we have meeting. And then we bring the keynote, just like professor from abroad or professor from Bangkok, to tell us that what good city need to have. So mostly we talking about the public transport. So most of the Khon Kaen people understand the public transport, that what is the really important on the public transport to help the city better and better. Next please. The other one on the most right is the courage. courage that means is ความกล้านะครับกล้าที่จะทำดี so that this means is our KKTG Content City Development is help the city to make this one happen ครับ this one is a photo from the public hearing public hearing on June 9 on 2016 ครับ the guy on the right on the left hand side ครับ the guy on the left hand side is we call สองแถวpublic transport he is a president of สองแถว in ขอนแก่นครับhe come mostly it will have the conflict between สองแถว and the public transport but in ขอนแก่นafter we have a lot of dialogue for 14 years all of them is understand ครับthey as you see in the picture they said he supported the LRT project but what he say is he want to see it before he pass away so this is very good wording from him ครับ next please and now ขอนแก่น is moving forward นะครับ this one is approval from the minister of the interior ครับ so that means the ขอนแก่น has the second นะครับ municipality company limited to be the project owner of the LRT in ขอนแก่น next please so actually the minister and this one after he approved in ขอนแก่นนะครับout of the 5 municipality is come together and then register นะครับin ขอนแก่นนะครับ the company called the ขอนแก่น Transit System so we have KKTS ขอนแก่น Transit System Company Limited this one is the company of the municipality the second in Thailand ครับ next please and this one ขอนแก่น so ขอนแก่น have 2 company that working for the city on the right hand side is our company so KKTT so KKTT is fed off from the LRT and try to push ขอนแก่น to be the smart city นะครับ and then KKTS is has the approval from the government นะครับ from the Ministry of Transport and then they got the LRT project in ขอนแก่น and then now they are moving the project of the LRT in ขอนแก่น next please so next please this is I will talk about some about the smart city in ขอนแก่น what make it happen after we have the LRT project and the TOD project in ขอนแก่น that we call กระเป๋า that means the city wallet then we will use that one as a budget of the city to funding the smart city in ขอนแก่น this picture is showing of the ขอนแก่น they set up the committee of the smart city committee from the governor ครับ next please and this one all of this committee is doing what ครับ doing this plan ครับ doing this plan as I told you smart city has 6 elements smart mobility smart living smart citizen and smart economy and smart environment smart governance so ขอนแก่น is doing smart city like growing the trees it is not doing smart city like who ต่างคนต่างทำ that means separately so we try to combine together to growing the tree what we need ครับ we need the soil we need the good fertilizer what is the soil ครับ the soil is the public transport so that means the soil is on the bottom ครับ LRT and bus and urban design that we do TOD that is the soil of the ขอนแก่นครับ that this one we move for 4 years as a soil of the ground นะครับ of the smart city and then the second one is the fertilizer ครับ so fertilizer of ขอนแก่น is like the technology just like we have Wi-Fi we have sensor we have big data and all the data of the city what to do ครับ all the data of the city need to be able to have one place that they able to combine together that is on the black one ครับ the black one we call SCOPC that means from is stand for Smart City Operation Center SCOPC นะครับ Smart City Operation Center this one is the one who combine the whole city data together they have many layers and then of the data ครับ and then all the smart city if you see on the just like mobility LRT is one of the project under the mobility. But the most important of Khon is what 60% of Khon people is agriculture. So that means we need to put a very big scale on the smart farming. That is on the under smart economy. We have very big scale of the smart farming in Khon Kaen. Next, please. And then this one is the structure that how to make it happen. In Khon Kaen, we are not do project. We do structure first. The structure on the left hand side, the pink one. The pink one is stand for the is from the government, central government. As I told you, central government. We try to make the central government to approve the project to Khon Kaen. So that means on the upper one, LRT, local government. So the central government is approved. And then if you to see the blue one on the bottom, we have Khon Kaen Smart City Strategy 2029. The plan 20. Now we change to 20 years plan. And then the Office of the Prime Minister is a very special committee to control this project. The poor, I'm talking about the poor and equality. Where is it? Where is it? If you see, they have SEC on the pink one. SEC is a Kolotor about the stock exchange on that one. SEC now they are doing the poor fund, so that means they do the funding for the poor for Khon Kaen. The poor can saving, and their saving will be the share of the KKDS on the par value, and then KKDS will listed to the stock exchange. The poor will get upside gain, same as the KKDS. So this one we give the chance we give the tools about the stock exchange to the poor. So this is the Khon Kaen model that what we try to do. On the right hand side, budget we try to find by ourselves. And the most important in the future, they will have we use blockchain. And then now we are studying in Singapore and outside Thailand and Hong Kong also about the STO, security token offering that maybe can be the source other funding method can help for the city or smart city development. Next, please. So that means what happened in our city after we have such plan, they will have the group of the investor, just like this one from Pan Setatit. They have a midpoint come to do the help Khon Kaen for the renewable city. And then Jinda is a group coming to helping for the infrastructure of the technology. And then Matpu is coming to Khon Kaen to try to help us to do about the energy, smart energy in Khon Kaen. Next, please. Most of this group is come from the plan after they read the smart city plan of Khon Kaen and they see the structure of Khon Kaen. This one is we call renewable city. The city is empty now in Khon Kaen. We try to make the people come back to the city. How to do? We bring all the young people in Khon Kaen to walk around the city to we call Sijan district, Sijan creative tour. We try to renewable city by the young. And they have the shop house hotel. It's closed in Khon Kaen, but we KKTT and the Midport will rent the whole shop house in Khon Kaen and then give to the startup to open up their business in the cheap price. So that means the young startup can have their shop in the very economic price. Next, please. So this one is our plan for the renewable city, and this one we call Sijan Samsan. That's it to everyone. So this Sijan Samsan is the city is a whole city. They have a lot of people want to move back to the city. So this one is what happened to our city. Next, please. Okay. This one last one ครับ maybe ไม่รู้มีเสียงหรือเปล่า หรือเปล่า This one is showing maybe I don't know that they have the sound or not. This one is showing that the people is two people is going to the escalator นะครับ and then the escalator was broken ครับ and then the guy said hey they have subtitle นะครับ maybe you can see นะครับมีโทรศัพท์หรือเปล่าครับ have phone and don't have and they are waiting ครับ they are waiting and then they shouting that มีใครอยู่แถวนี้ไหมนะครับ anyone here I'm stuck on here if you can have the sound we translate this one in อีสานนะครับ อีสาน dialogue is very good one it's really funny and then everyone only shouting up on the escalator and then they said okay I don't believe it just kidding we can do only this this is the people that this is us ครับ and then we are sitting and waiting ครับ and then the mechanic come this is our home ครับ our home mechanic is like when you make the election นะครับ the mechanic like your สสนะครับ your representative after you make election the mechanic come okay the stair is broken again ครับ and then the mechanic come to see ครับ even the mechanic not walking ครับนะครับ this is the situation in Thailand ครับ that is the problem of us in Thailand ปัญหาแก้ได้ง่ายๆนะครับเพียงแค่นะครับเดินออกจากบันไดเลื่อน so that means we need to move ครับ now if we want to do the smart city we need to move our city with the local government or with the authority ครับ if we have combined of this one we call content model ครับครับผม end of my presentation thank you very much maybe it's too fast but anyway if someone after this you can have a question that later on ขอบคุณมากครับ
Okay, thanks a lot. And it's very interesting to see the attempt from the local people to push forward through the complexity of the government and local government structure. And lesson learned is very important that start by helping yourself. Don't wait for someone to fix your problem. Okay, so I think it's very good start. And next we're gonna have a slightly different information that we'll get from Dr. Surachai on the a more digital part on the design and implementation of smart city. So the floor is yours, Dr. Surachai.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, could I share my screen?
ต้อง unmute
Okay, good afternoon again. Let me introduce myself. I'm Sarachai Ongprasad from Team Consulting Engineering and Management, and I'm also a committee of Thai BIM Association. And I graduated from Civil Engineering School and Transportation Engineering schools. So my background is maybe a bit different from you guys. I'm a bit more in planning and construction industries. So, but I think my experience will be shared to you today would be useful. And let's talk a bit about smart city. Yes, as Ajahn Suradit already present some kind of this picture already, that today I will not talk about the whole smart city. My part, I will talk about the data that will be put in smart city, like digital representation of infrastructure from the bottom line to the middle line, like for analysis, something like, and simulation. So these are the topic that I will talk about today. Okay, and let me introduce what is BIM first. BIM, what is it? It stands for. Okay, so I will go briefly about the definition of BIM. If you search BIM in Google, you will see some. It will say BIM is a kind of mangosteens or whatever. Don't care about it. Please refer from some standard association like NBIMS. It is BIM Association of the US, something like that. And this kind of association would define BIM as a digital representation of the physical world. So we have some digital city inside our computer, our server, and it would the BIM model would be share information to related people, to the stakeholders in the city, and could be used for the whole life cycle time. And BIM is a kind of information management to provide the right information to the right person at the right time. Okay, so I would say that since we have limited time, if you still don't understand, I would say that BIM is a kind of 3D model plus information. That information would be Excel spreadsheet or something like that. And okay, again, let me talk what is exactly stand for. BIM stand for Building Information Modeling. Because 30 years ago, the first guy who used BIM, they used this concept for creating the and construction of buildings, but actually it could be used for this whole city, including the infrastructure, highway, railways, or LRT, right rails. And there's some development of BIM that it would start before 30 years ago. Everything inside the city has been done by hand drafting on papers. And 20 years ago, we know something like CAD, computer-aided design, that could draw 2D. We could have 2D drawings inside computer. And 10 years ago, we could have the third generation is like a 3D model. And the fourth generation is BIM generation, that 3D model plus information inside. And next, I like to talk about the project life cycle. That you can see that this one is a life cycle. Okay, I understand that you're not in the construction industry, but let me introduce a bit that you can more understand about smart city. Before we create a smart city, we would need some kind of feasibility study or conceptual master plan design, then have a detailed design and construct and operation. So the BIM process has been used for everywhere in the project life cycle. But when we talk about the smart city aspect, everyone would concentrate only on the operation, which is quite correct, because one city you may plan for a year, you may construction 5 years, but you operate forever. Okay, so let me give some example, because I was okay, stop sharing a bit and I change. Let's see some videos that you can understand better about BIM and smart city. ขอใช้อีกรอบครับผม Okay, let's see what is BIM. Okay, let's say that because you know I'm from construction. ขึ้นไหมครับ Okay, let's see what is BIM. When it comes to talking from crossing from civil engineering to smart city, BIM is more like you have 3D model plus information inside. And for the construction industries, we use BIM since the day we're doing master plan for smart city, and we do design. So at the master planning and design stage, designers and owner could see together how the city would function during in the real operation day, something like that. And we can see what inside our city, how many people would come, how many people would visit our city hall, our train stations, and how would we operate, and how the city would benefit from this master planning, from this design, for example. And next, I would talk about the next phase after finishing after finishing the master planning. BIM data would be transferred to the construction phase. Like, okay, for the general contractor they don't care much about the total picture. They would care about the detail of the construction. So the data of BIM in the master plan could be transferred for the construction phase, everything. And they can use to have the better quality of construction, which is very good for our operation, city operation. For example, you can see from the screen that if the city has this kind of data, it's very easy for operation, because in the future, when you have some problem inside, you don't have to open the thing, everything. We just open the location that they have the problem. And next is about during the construction again, you can see the construction process, the construction method, and the progress, even the impact of the construction to the surrounding area. And also we can monitor the budget that would be used as the progress of the construction. Okay, next I'd like to talk a bit about, so far I've been talking about BIM in the construction, and what if we don't have, we have never used BIM for the design or the construction, and how can we have the digital representation for our city? It could be another way. If you already have the existing city, this one is the example of Chatuchak. You can use laser scanner or drone-based survey to scan the whole city, and then you can have the you can have information of how many buildings, how many cross floor area, how many saleable areas, how many lanes, how many infrastructure, and what is the size of the green park, something like that. Okay, this one is not video. It is video, but is not picture. Actually, is a 3D model that composed of trillions of point cloud combined together. Okay, so oops. Is it working? Yeah. Okay. Okay, that was about the outside. When it comes to inside the buildings, we can use another tools for scanning, like 3D scanner, laser scanner, to get our own facility. Like this one is a district cooling. You can know the capacity, what are the crucial materials, crucial components of our district cooling, and we can check their performance. Okay, next I'd like to talk, what if you already have a part of information, like if your city already have GIS, for example. Yes, BIM allows us to combine everything, any kind of data together. You may have some drone-based survey, you may have the point cloud, you may have GIS. Yes, you can combine everything together. And that's why I think this would be very useful for our smart city. Next is I show some example of the combination of the existing city plus the new planned city. You can see that from this video, there is some green field in the middle. Yeah, this one. So the city, if the new developed city start from scratch, and if BIM process has been utilized, you can have something like this. And so it would be very beneficial tool for city operator if you can have this kind of information from the day one, because in the future, if you want to know how many tubes under the ground, and can you expand, can you do some civil work here, is it safe or not, you can get the answer instantly. Okay, I think that's most of the information about BIM. And next, I think is the most important one of today's topic. How do you use BIM data for your smart city? But I tell you that this is just an example. This is just concept. Let's say that this building is a part of the city. You have the real building, and you have the digital twin building in your computer. These two worlds could be linked by IoT. For example, you have IoT of CCTV. Okay, the digital twins could feed video from the real world, for example, and okay, you can use the digital twin to control the real world. For example, this one we show the lock of the door. You can operate for security reasons. Okay, that's the password. And inside the building, you can also check the performance of, you can control the light inside, check the status, and see the performance. Where is it? See the performance of the air conditioner, something like that. Okay, you see it's working well and everyone happy with this air conditioner. What's more, if you have to do the facility and asset management, since everything, all information, the city data platform is inside one single source, so data would not be disappear. Like if you print in the paper, it will be disappeared someday. But if you put everything inside your cloud, it is forever. And yeah, it's very it would be convenient that everything linked together at the single source. Okay, since easy one. So when it comes to city data platform, you might think that, oh, it's too difficult. But there are some simple versions, like if you have the twin, digital twin on the left-hand side, and you have the easy understand database like Excel on the right-hand side, you can connect them together. Like for this one, we show, okay, we have the database on the right-hand side, and we want to know where is the chair in the digital twin. It could be done. This is some simple version. Okay, again, back to, I go back to Jatujap. Okay, for the Jatujap area, we would say that this is the existing situation, existing city, and this one is the picture that you would see in few years of Bang Sue Grand Station. The thing that I like to talk is, since we put a lot of information inside, this one is the floor plan of the first floor. And I'm not sure at home, could you see people walking or not? Since we put a lot of information already, we could do simulation. And this one heat map is, say, representative about the condensation, the density of people inside the station. So we could plan where to put more energy, like where to put more air conditioner to make everyone happy inside the station. Next is about the mobility. Since we already put information inside, we know that how many trains would be operated at the station, how many people would get in it, get off station, what is the share proportion of people gonna use car. So we can simulate the traffic condition in the future, that when the city fully operate the station, what will happen, and whether we have enough facility for this. And also we could do the thing of environmental impact. This is still at the Chatuchak. This is the old masjid. Old masjid, we're gonna have the new building, so we could see the effect of the wind would change. Somewhere would be faster, somewhere would be slower, somewhere would be vacuum. And okay, I think I'll run out of time. Last one, or not before the last one, we will talk about the safety. That since we already put everything inside our digital twin, so we could simulate when it comes to the evacuation. And yeah, and okay, next one is still VR. This is VR of that train station. When it comes to evacuation route, we check whether the route is easy for the evacuation, whether we have enough signage, and people will not get lost during the evacuation. Okay, last one. Since we put everything like the height, the elevation, the GIS or whatever, we could run some flood simulation of the city. That okay, what would happen when the 10 years rain and the 50 years rain happens, something like that. And I think that's all for my presentation today. I hope that it could be helpful for your study in smart city. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Surachai. I think it's very interesting already to see that we talk about smart city, and on one hand we have a lot of political situation to sort out, and at the same time, the same topic, we have this very high-tech digital platform to create a twin world of our physical world that we experience. So it's a very cross-cutting theme of different science and art across this. So for the last part, I'm gonna share my experience as well on probably the last component of the smart city, which is on the service part of the smart city. Okay, because we talk about political setup, local government involvement, how to drive the people to make some consensus and then move into the city planning, okay, to push what Dr. Ajahn Suradet always say, push the mountain, okay, push the mountain. And we got information from Dr. Surachai about digital world, which, to be honest, I even feel very amazed that we can do at this stage, in 2020 at this advanced level. So for my part, I will spend very quick amount of time just to wrap up. Now I'm going to bring the context of smart city back to the service. Okay, just a basic service that the city need to provide to their citizen. Okay, we all have the experience that if we need some service from the city, what is our interaction with the city? We need to go to the city building, get in the queue, create a lot of paperwork, submit a document, and at the same time, maybe a month later, we want to have a different service, then we need to do the same thing over and over again. Okay, so of course that's really go against the concept of smart city, because obviously this is what we want to see in this picture I show here. So on the left-hand side is all the things that you need to take care of as a city management. You know, the waste management, healthcare, water, education, energy, so forth and so on. Also, you have citizens to take care of, the developer, the businessman, and a lot of regulation and the policy, as we heard previously. So the smart city concept is, can we actually somehow integrate all of them together on a single platform? Either use the digital platform like what we heard from Dr. Surachai, or sometimes it's purely just a regulation, new regulation that we need to do this type of thing. So the concept seemed very good, but what we found, we actually went through a lot of work with different local authorities in Thailand, and I think this is also the same case, not only in Thailand, but most of the city in the world, is that when we talk about a city service, what actually happening is that the service will be designed separately, one by one. Okay, what we normally call the silo effect, the silo operating architecture. This year we have the concern on the pollution. Then we're going to create some data, some service, some platform for the pollution monitoring, pollution management. And then next year, suddenly we have a new problem of education. Okay, then we're going to again create a new workflow for that education service to get the data, to get the interaction with the citizen. But the concept of the smart city, as we would like to see, is that it doesn't matter for the citizen. They should not have to worry about which silo you are actually operating at the moment. Okay, which service center that you actually focus at the moment. And this cross-cutting theme of the workflow, of the data governance, data utilization, and the service should cut across the different service component. Okay, so this is like the basic requirement that we need to have a city operating system for the smart city concept. But the reality, what we found is that this is exactly what's going on in the city service in Thailand. We're going to have a different department. Okay, for example, Department of Finance. And Department of Finance, of course, will have their own workflow and the software and the database platform. Okay, in this picture, we have three colors that you can see. The dark blue, which is a software system, the database system that could be like what we call the in-house development software that the city just developed by themselves to serve that purpose, maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And we have the orange color, which is the central government platform that some of the functions the city need to comply with the central government. For example, the tax system, okay, the education system, the welfare system. And last but not least, the sort of like greenish one, which is an off-shelf program, like a SCADA system you're not gonna develop by yourself, okay? So in all of this is a current situation in most of the city, okay? Not only in Thailand, I believe it's, throughout different countries as well. So the notion of trying to integrate them together is somewhat very fancy, okay, but unreachable. And the data that will be built will be based on each service component, okay? So if I'm looking for the Department of Environment, of course, I'm gonna have the data on the factory, the pollution, the waste management. If I'm looking at the Department of Finance, then I'm gonna have like GIS data, the tax, okay, the tax map we call, the budget issue, okay? And if I look at the Department of Citizen Registration, then I'm gonna have a lot of citizen data, demographic data, but all of these are unrelated, okay? So the way to move the data integration for smart service in the smart city is that we should start to look on the opposite way in terms of the purpose of usage instead of the function of the usage. So in this case, instead of looking at which department owns which data and operate which service, we should start to look from the component in the city. For example, in this slide that probably will come up, is that if we look from the citizen data, we're going to see that one citizen data will involve the citizen information, okay, their welfare status, their handicap condition, okay, their patient's record, okay, so forth and so on. And doesn't matter which department that it's gonna come from, but that's the citizen data. On the other hand, if you look at the location data, okay, again, there must be the house data, the factory location, the building, like the BIM information we talk about. It doesn't matter that, oh, the house data is from the civil development agency or the factory is from the business promotion department. So this is the reverse way to look at the way that we need to focus on the data structure. And what we found out is that if you map out all the city function that we have in most of the local authority in Thailand, we're gonna have basically the 10 core components, okay, of the city service. This is what the 10 core that I just try to highlight here. We're gonna have the city and household registration data. That's the first one. We're gonna have finance and budgeting. That's the second one. Okay. We're gonna have the emergency response unit, the health, the social welfare, okay, education, leisure, culture, and sport, planning, and maintenance, and last but not least, the governor office. So this 10 core component of the city function, as in this slide show, that it has a lot of interaction with the different level of interaction, like the size of this box that I put here. So when we see in this context, we start to see that there is a need to somehow link the service and the data all together. So the way that the city operating system can then be redesigned to serve this purpose is that we can split out this function into 3 key service functions. So first one is the basic function that every city should have, or every office or every company should have, is the e-office, okay? The basic digital data of the paperwork, working calendar, the documentation, the tracking of a document. So we call this like the e-office component. And then we're gonna have on the bottom right, the green color, which is a city service portal. This is again, the basic city service that we need to provide to the public. Surveillance, city engagement platform, emergency response. And now the new one, okay, the tops are like the red, the pink color on the left-hand side. You can start to talk about the smart city control part here. So the big data, CCTV, but with all this information, somehow it needs to be related in terms of that data structure that I just explained in the previous slide. So the way to move this happen is that, again, we need to understand the data life cycle. So the first one is like Dr. Sarachai mentioned, what we call the city data model, but not only the physical part, okay, but on the functional and the service part of the city. Then we can use this to build what we call the city operating system, okay? And then what the citizen just need to worry is the city service portal, that they just need to have one service portal that they need to interact with the city. And of course, from time to time, we're gonna have the feedback. So this is all good. But to create this, a lot of things that need to happen. Okay, citizen data, operating data, okay, or the platform that we talk about. And what we analyze is that instead of looking at the function of service by different division, by different department, now we reverse to the key smart city component that we want to deliver. If we talk about the smart healthcare from the center, okay, of this diagram, we're gonna roll back to see what are other information that we need, okay? For example, smart healthcare. Then we need to look at the citizen data as well as environmental and the health data. And that has some overlapping with also the social welfare data itself. Okay, so starting from the service and function, then integrate into the central database using the technology like Open Application Programming Interface or API. And outside would be the application. So the way that we reverse the design is not coming from the application and then eventually generate some data that cannot be mapped to each other. Okay, so it's all good, but actually the way we need to deploy it in practice is not as smooth and as easy as I just explained. What we encounter is first, The data is actually from a totally different organization by the different level of data, different quality of data in the city. So the way to move forward is that the first step, you basically need to move in terms of what we call the data category. Okay, what type of data is the structural format data? What is the non-structural format data? The GIS data, so forth and so on. And you can somehow move it like what I call the step by step. Okay. Then the second part is that you're going to move into what we call the data governance process. Okay. Don't bring the complexity first from the first step. Okay. Let's just bring something to have some data relationship and later on put some standard on top of it. And this is a type of what we call the potential data structure model for most of the city in Thailand, that we can separate in terms of the restricted data and the public data part, and with the government network in the center, okay, with a different level of security level for different type of data that the public can access and the private can access. So I show you two examples. One example is on the citizen data set. Okay, just a basic data set of citizen. Of course, in this case, one citizen or one person must have a city ID, okay, name, first name, family, last name, date of birth. But apart from that, we're going to have the welfare data, finance data, healthcare data, and education data. Okay. And for the household, another critical data integration in smart city apart from citizen is the household data. Okay, for the household data, of course, we need to know the house location. Okay, we need to know who is actually a member of the house. Okay, we need to know the building. Okay, the original building approval. We need to know the information of those people that live inside that house location. All this data can be somehow combined together on the same design concept. Okay, use one example here that we analyze the data for Nonthaburi. Okay, the city local authority of Nonthaburi. Just the case that to analyze the elderly and the bedridden case. Okay, for the elderly people in Nonthaburi. Basically, at the moment, the data is scattered and cannot be used for anything. We don't even know who actually stay where and how long who is their guardian or whatever the community around them. So the three primary keys, four primary keys that link information to the same person that can be a high risk for the bedridden care case is that, of course, the patient data from the health component and the house data, okay? And we also have the community-related data in terms of community code. And last but not least, the related person database. So this is just an example of how different data sets can be linked to provide the bigger picture of a certain person or a certain household for the smart city analytics and the service. But to do that, everything in the whole real world or in the whole real city is very what I call is a fragmented at the moment. What we need to tackle is first we start with the workflow. Okay, what are the current workflow? How the data actually stream from different functions? Why is not be able to use across the different departments? So what we call the workflow process. Okay, then we look at the data flow process of that. Okay, together with the software and the system that can be used to integrate the data all together. Then the last step is a service case and a use case. Okay, so to fix this, what we call the fragmented, the service system of our city at the moment. So each step, then of course, will be involved with the different technical thing that we need to do. Again, these are not like a straightforward thing to do, but I just put out the keyword. For example, how to design the compact workflow, for example. If you design even more complicated workflow to help this kind of operation, then nobody gonna follow that workflow anymore. And how do we actually install that type of workflow into the city operation, city administration system? Okay, and how to integrate the current database and the new database. And last but not least, to develop what we call the service portal. Okay, and the technical thing that involved within that is that you also need to make sure that everything is very nice and easy to access, what we call the user interface and user experience design. Either the front end, the back end for the staff or the city officer. And hopefully when you create that, you can have these 5 key components that you can add, you can create into this city operating system. The compact workflow, integrated working protocol, integrated database, okay, integrated city administrative service, the data analytic component, and the integrated service portal. But in reality, what we found is that there's a lot of challenge in creating that 4 or 5 different components. Okay, so for the data, most of the data we got is either what we call the paper-based data or the different data containment. So it's very hard to integrate. Okay, it's very limited value for the usage, and a lot of effort to digitize. Okay, for the physical part, as the previous speakers say, at least we can have new sensor scan. But for this type of paper-based data, and sometimes it cannot be even illegible in terms of the handwritten or anything, and it's very easy to lose or damage. So what we found out, and normally what we tackle is that, of course, everything needs to be incremental. You cannot do like one big step at a time. And the incremental data digitalization is a good strategy to start in any city to create this smart city operating system. And in terms of the data, in terms of fragmentation of organization, what we normally found is that strictly function is actually based on organization behavior. Like my city, I'm gonna do the paperwork this way, okay? There's a lot of isolated working atmosphere, okay? Different work process, different work protocol. And some city that we involved and found it very successful is you need a lot of leadership and a very serious level of organization reform. So this is where we found a different experience around the world. Also, when you push forward the idea of smart city, you need to have like what we call smart city working team that cut across all this silo effect for the working protocol. Okay, and even you do all this, you're gonna face what we call limitation of resource and infrastructure. And again, the first speaker gave very good example that resource never been an issue if you know how to enhance the city capacity. If you know how to package the city as an opportunity and as a product, and then you can come across the limitation of resource, budget, and regulation as well. But last but not least, I personally experienced this a lot. This is what we call the chain phobia people wear. Okay, so whatever we do, whatever happen, there'll be someone who say, no, I'm not gonna do that. Whatever you change the whole workflow, everything, I'm just gonna do this. Okay, where's a photocopy? And this is become something that you need to really create what we call the changing leader. Okay, for the smart city delivery. And we found that in many cities, of course, strong leadership will provide the authority and the drive for those who can be the change leader on each of the components. Pick up some important service that people can feel the benefit immediately and make the change. Okay, if people don't want to wait long time at the city council, make the digital queuing system. If people don't want to make a photocopy, do it in terms of digital base instead of the paper-based document submission. So this type of thing will help to create the positive cycle. And this is happening in different cities now in Thailand. So I'm wrap up my part, and I think that's something that help us to see I don't want to call contrast, okay, but I call it very complementary issue. Again, let me remind that we all talk about the same thing, which is smart city. Okay, but consolidate really show like the whole big picture of wow, there's a like mountain to climb. Whereas I remember you talked to me like the ice cream. Okay, yeah. If the ice cream have to travel from Bangkok to Khon Kaen, it's all melt. So you need to create your own ice cream. domestically. And for Dr. Surachai, okay, it's a very brand new way to see the city. I just gave a lecture to our student yesterday that there's a what we call twin environment. One is on the physical and one is on the digital part. And I can see that with the technology you explain now is really moved forward very fast. And for my own part, it's a very small part in the whole sort of movement, but I think it's something that touched to the people to see the benefit of what we try to claim as a smart city, because infrastructure is like a big turning wheel. If you can do it, then everything goes smooth. But let me spin the small wheel to keep things moving. And I think that's a very good wrap up. I think we have some question, okay, from the audience, and let me just bring up some of the question that I got. So the first question is for Mr. Suradet. Okay, very good question. How can KKTT gain the support from the central government?
The mic is on now.
Yeah.
The mic is on.
It's on.
Yeah. Okay. If you understand, they have one artist in Chiang Rai, one in Silapa.
So this is art. It's not a science.
It's not a science. It's art. Art of if you remember the structure of content model, they have one pillar. If you can reverse back to do after this. They have on my slide. They have one pillar on about, I think on the third one from the right hand side. It's called low ego. Low ego. So that means we doing for our people in content, and we try to explain our purpose to the central government, and we are lucky that they have the Prime Minister and the team listened to us. So that means after they listened, we have nothing hiding, hidden. We don't have any hidden agenda for our group. We want to do purely for our city, and we are good luck that we can express. So that means we can explain and express our intention to the government, and they understand. And after they study, that one is the first thing. That is art. Second one, everyone you ask you that, are there any law? Are there any law?
Yeah, we always complain about the law. Yep.
This is the simple question. So that means you have to have very good backup on the law side, on the regulation side. Just like what we use the law of the municipality from 2496
That's very old.
2496 is very old one. And but in this parable, in this law, they already mentioned that all municipality, one or many municipality can combine together to set up a company limited. This one writing from P's 2496, but no one want to do it because we stuck on the escalator. That is the one. And the other one is that we use even not the big law. We use ประกาศสำนักนายกรัฐมนตรี the president office announcement. That is all the law. Also, it's very small one. In Thailand, don't try to fix the big problem with the big law or the big team. I always talking that if you know, I think 40 years ago they have communists in Thailand. Why the communist is no more? They said domino effect. Now Vietnam communist became communist. Laos became communist. Sooner or later Thailand will become communist. But it's very clever idea of our people at that day. The Samnak Nayok, the office of the Prime Minister, just give one order. The order of 66/23. It is not a law. We fixed
Yes,
the
sir.
big problem with the announcement of the Prime Minister. 66/23 the 66/23. If you search, you can search now. 66/23 is just only, okay, stop. You are my friend. The communist is the Thai. The communist is also Thai. You coming out from the forest, give me back the gun, and then we are the Thai people.
Let's help building the country.
ร่วมพัฒนาชาติไทยกลายเป็นผู้ร่วมพัฒนาชาติไทย Fix the communist problem with the only one single paper, but now we are thinking too much to fix the problem with the we have to issue the issue the law. That is what we can do. So this is the thing that we try to do.
So the conviction and push forward without any delay.
Yes.
That's the key. Okay, so the second question for Dr. Sarachai, very good question, very technical. Can we scan the underground infrastructure to build this BIM for the whole city?
You mean scan? You scan the underground or scan from the road to see underground?
I think what the question meant was because there is both above ground and underground structure, and to make a digital information.
Yes.
How can we get that information?
You can have the BIM model of the underground, but you have to go underground.
Right.
You cannot
do on the ground.
Yeah.
So you have to really go underground and then do. Okay. So, and good question is that what is the main limitation of BIM currently, and the main limitation to apply the BIM to the whole city level or even the national level? People again. So never technology is a problem.
Technology, how is it not only problem? People and regulation.
I show you already what you can do.
Right. Okay. Okay. So for my part, there's one question is on the data privacy. Yeah. So as a data privacy is concerned, how would you ensure the data collection process doesn't violate the data privacy law? I think that's a very good question. So if this is from one of my students, I should give very good mark. I think it's always the trade-off. We always believe that it's a trade-off between the privacy and security. But from what I saw in terms of technology, it may not be the case any longer in the near future when we have the distributed system. When we have the way that the data may not need to be stored locally at a certain location, the authenticity of the data, the access of data can be verified and shared across what we call the distributed system, like the concept of blockchain, for example. So in that sense, it means that you have more people that are responsible for your data, okay? But the privacy in the case of your personal sort of presence and the action and all this, of course, there's a lot of regulation that's coming out now, and technology that also help to encrypt and in terms of protect that type of level of information. Okay. So maybe one last comment from each of us, and then I'll wrap up this whole online seminar. Let's start with Kun Suradet.
I would like to tell everybody that in our countries, I think the technology is not the problem. The finance is also not much the problem. The problem in Thailand is like Ajahn Ekachai said, the silo. So that means each the data how to integrate. Each silo have their own data, and they're not sharing their data. And we have problem into the public administration. They have we call the silo we call function based, and the local area just like municipality we call area based. So the most difficulty is to decide the function based and the area based, that they can work together. Just like now, I am the committee to writing in content about the after COVID budget. The problem is I writing for the Porsche Patana Chunchon. But my idea is writing that we can do marketing, help do the marketing company to help the poor people, help the city, help the the village products, OTOP products, and inviting SME also. So that means they said cannot, because SME belong to the
different department.
different department. So that means if you create something, you can help only the silo part. So that means that is the problem in Thailand. This is the most important in Thailand. And lastly is do not try to fix the big problem with the big team or big law. Thailand always survive with the small team and the spearhead. So that means this is the most important thing that I like to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Surachai.
That's really already.
So my part is I like to communicate to students that whatever I talk today, it might be totally when you graduate. So keep learning. Yeah, that's all.
A good one. Okay, so for my part, I just have to thank all of you. Okay, because I believe that such a complex thing that we face is, of course, because sometimes we see things in the one-dimensional way, and we need to start to work across topic, technology, art, science, and then start to do something. Okay, not waiting for someone to fix your problem. And I believe that the way that the city can be improved is not only from the government. The ecosystem of how the city can be improved now changing very quickly. Even the small team in the university or in the different province can start doing something that become very significant and create a good example. Like you told me once, it's like monkey see, monkey do. Okay, so I think that's a good wrap up, and I would like to thank all of you who participate in our online seminar, and have to apologize for some technical challenge. This is our first online seminar in the studio that we have 2-3 people at the same time. So we will have another seminar, online seminar coming up as well, and then you can follow us on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube link. Okay, that's all for today. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.